What's good, y'all? My name is Dylan Green, and this is Real Notes, a space dedicated to blurring the cultural and artistic lines between rap and film. I'm here to chop it up with everyone from rappers and producers to journalists and video directors about their relationship to movies and how, if at all, film inspires their craft. My guest this week is California-based producer and archivist Mars Kumari. We spoke about Squishmallows, Xavier, Renegade Angel, the timelessness of Adult Swim, the Earl Sweatshirt short film Nowhere Nobody, piracy, how her transition influenced the way she creates music, the pros and cons of musical archiving, and the creative process behind a handful of her projects, including her upcoming album I Thought I Lost You. Come fuck with us. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to Real Notes. The year's winding down. Writing's about to be done. But this goes on. No, this doesn't go on forever. Podcast is I'm probably gonna go on a break for like a month near I think like right before New. I forget. Either way, we're here now. We're not done yet, and we love it. Good things. I'm so happy. This is keeping me warm right now. It's cold as shit out here in on Long Island. So Dylan Green, CineMasai. I got a lot of names, do a lot of shit, run around. Not so much now. I'm going into hibernation in like a week and a half. I'm kind of looking forward to it. But I got somebody here with me today who I don't know if she has a ton of names, but she does a lot of shit. And things are only starting to pick up. She's a producer. She loves bunnies and a lot of other really cool shit that I'm sure we're gonna get into. Bruiser Brigade affiliate, Deadverse affiliate. We got Mars Kumari in the house. Really talented producer out of California who makes really wonderful music. And I'm so happy that she wanted to be here. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Oh my God, wow, that's the coolest intro I've ever gotten. Also one of the only ones, but also the coolest one. But it's so cool. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
No. We've been talking for the last couple of months, and you know, like I've gone back and listened to your shit, and I was like, yeah, we need to make this happen. So I'm happy. I'm happy we could do that. And yeah, you know, you can't see either of our rooms right now, but everything's looking immaculate because we're both aesthetic. That's
Oh
our
my
whole
God, we
thing.
both got the Squishmallows. I just noticed that. I see the
those are
little
all
acorn in the back. Oh, that's
those
so
are all
cute.
those are all my partners. I have one that's not here. I have one at my house. It's a little strawberry milk. I had to because I love strawberry milk.
Oh my God, I
But
love that. I have one that's like I think it's supposed to be like a bowl of Fruit Loops
uh-huh.
and like an octopus. And then also like a miscellaneous like mushroom guy, which I think is like a knockoff Squishmallow. I just found it at
Hmm.
Goodwill for like $3, and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my life. As I often say when I'm in Goodwill.
Right. How could you not? Are you
Right.
like are you like an avid Squishmallow collector, or you just have like a couple just like around and shit?
I just have a couple. I just think they're really cute, and sometimes I find them for like not ridiculously expensive. And so whenever that does happen, because I mean, like around here, for whatever reason, they cost like $20.
Hmm.
Um, but like I was able to find some for like maybe 10. But yeah, I kind of just like passively collect stuffed animals, I think. Like I don't think I
Felt.
really like look for them, but I think they sort of find their way to me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I used to really collect stuffed animals when I was a kid, and I still have
Me
quite a few.
too.
I don't really collect them. I don't really collect them as much now, but like there was like I just loved stuffed animals. I don't know what it was, but I like soft things.
Stuffed animals are so wonderful. I love teddy bears. Honestly, like the
Yeah.
the the room behind mine, it used to be my grandma's room before she moved back to before she moved back to India, but like all of my stuffed animals that I grew up with are just like hanging out like on like some sort of alcove type thing. You can see all of them. They're all on display because
Oh.
like my grandma loved them, you know. And then there's a couple of like Mickey Mouses which are like sort of like crucified, against the wall, which I like. I asked my mom like what was up with that, and she was like, "It's cute," which it is, I guess.
Crucified Mickey is pretty cute. I like I could see it in my head, and that's pretty cute.
It's a sign of the times for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, 100%. It should be anyway. But before we move on to the movie talk proper, you mentioned Goodwill before, and especially in the last couple of years, I've been a proponent. Like I feel like I've become a proponent of like the good thrift store find. So like, what was like the best? What was the last great thing you found at a thrift store, at Goodwill, maybe specifically?
Um, Shit, that's a good question. Cause there's a lot. Like I would say, like most of the stuff that's in here, I've kind of amassed like secondhand. Like there's a whole like synthesizer here, like an old Casio, not like the digital keyboards that they were making, but like the ones they were making before that that were like proper synthesizers with like line outputs and
Mm,
everything. I found one of those just like in the back of a Goodwill for like $20 once. It's a I don't know what the model number is, and there's a bunch of stuff on top of it, so I can't see. But I found that. I was in the basement of a local thrift store called Rivertown Treasure Chest. Shouts out to them. Uh,
mm-hmm.
just a few weeks ago, and I found like there was just like a stack of like stereo receivers and like vintage hi-fi stuff that clearly like no one had looked at in years. And there's this really cool Akai stereo that was down there that I got for like $40. Like I love it because like it's got that same like the same version of the Akai logo that like the old MPC had. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like the one
I
with
know
the
exactly what you
serifs.
mean. Yeah.
Yeah, like that one's like I honestly got it like mostly off of that. And then and the fact that the display is actually really cool, like lots of lights and stuff. And I couldn't find anything about this model online, like aside from like a Gear Space forum thread where people were just shitting all over it because like people in this forum shit on everything. Like
Yeah.
there's no way to please those bastards. I hate all of them. But
Yeah, forums are a bad place most of the time. Like 90% of forums are like not bad places, but like 90% of the time people on forums are bad people.
yeah, they sort of like they sort of get off on being really really snarky when there's just like objectively no reason to be. Like
Yeah.
and it's like to the point of like gatekeeping like useful information sometimes, where it's like, no one's asking you to sacrifice your technique, you know. They're just asking you how to get this particular machine working. But
Right.
like
Yeah.
everyone was just like shitting on this one because it's got kind of an unusual display. There's not an actual volume knob on it. Like it's kind of a touch display, which like I think in the 80s would have been like, whoa. But
Yeah.
like it's honestly really good. I mean, it almost died a few days ago and then mysteriously came back to life. Like I don't know what I did. But that's I think the nature of like vintage electronics. It's like kind of something very ephemeral about it. That's
Yeah.
kind of why I love it.
Do you last thing, because I'm really curious about this now. Do you use all the stuff you find often? Like when was the last time you used that the first thing you mentioned? I'm already blanking on what it was. But when was the last time you like how often do you use the stuff that you find?
Pretty often, honestly. Like there's also like an equalizer that I found at a different antique shop here that is like pretty firmly integrated in the signal chain if I ever want to like move stuff out of the box, which like I've been doing a lot more of now since I got a 4-track recently. Um, I usually like a lot of the composition happens in Ableton, but now like I can sort of outsource it to like a mixer and a 4-track and an EQ and this receiver and like actually give it some sort of life, like in a way that like it's kind of difficult to replicate digitally. Like it's not impossible, I don't
Yeah.
think, but it's like not easy. And it is a little bit more fun to like be actually playing with knobs and stuff. as opposed to just like dragging a mouse clicker.
Yeah, like there's like there's certain things, you basically said it, but there are just certain things there are certain things that you can do with like a physical piece of hardware that you can't do with like Ableton or Logic or Fruity Loops or anything like that. And
No, exactly.
it just like feels good to like physically manipulate shit, like like moving knobs, turning knobs, like cranking like I don't know, like like there's just something fun about that, just like the physical act of like movement that's more than just like move the mouse type
No,
shit,
literally, it's like
like
it makes it so much more tactile. And then there's also an element of like, damn, like I'm doing this with like something I sort of treasure hunted, like something I
right,
just like found that I wasn't necessarily looking for, but like just kind of was gifted to me by the universe or whatever.
right,
Um,
you're like Indiana Jones minus the colonialism.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And the fedoras. I don't think I can rock those. Um, um, damn. Fuck the Temple of Doom, honestly. I used to really like that movie when I was younger, but then I kind of like grew up and then like I read about how like they're like actually just fully banned from India like for even shooting that. And I'm just like I can understand that. People would ask me growing up if I ate monkey brains and shit like that. And I'm just like
Yeah.
literally no. Like I eat pizza a lot of times, frankly. And most Indian folks I know are vegetarian.
Yeah, yeah, like I was
And needless to say, monkey brains is nowhere near the equation.
right, like yeah, yeah, it's just like recently um I've been watching a lot of there's this food insider show called Food Wars, where they compare fast foods in different countries, and they're doing an entire section on India right now. So they're comparing like Indian Pizza Hut, Indian Burger King, Indian McDonald's to like everything in the
I will tell
like
you, Indian Domino's is amazing. It's
I've
so
heard
fire.
great things.
I've been there a couple of times, like growing up, because my grandparents live out there, and me and my grandpa would always go to the Domino's that was near our house, and it was so good. I don't know what they're doing differently, and I barely remember what it actually tasted like, but I just remember
Wow.
it fondly.
I've only heard, like, I know is that they put a lot of chicken and a lot of paneer on everything, and
Oh
paneer
yeah,
is
fully.
really
There's
good.
like fully just
Like
like a chicken tikka masala like pizza. You can put your masala in like your soda. That's like something that happens often, which I
mhm,
haven't tried. Like I don't think I'm hardcore enough for that yet, but my parents recommend that quite
that's
a
hard.
bit.
Damn.
And also,
I
oh, I was gonna say like I'm also like
sorry.
with regards to like the Goodwill finds, analog stuff. Like I'm good to talk about that as long as you want, honestly, because like that is like kind of one of the big things I immerse myself in,
Yeah.
besides music, is like archival work.
Right. Yeah, nah. I'm so interested in that. I
I
definitely
just
want
wanted
to
to get
get
that
into
in
it late.
part.
No, 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 totally. Yeah, no, that's important. Like, nah, like, no, like we're here to hear from you, and that's great. And I want to get into that. But before we do, I'm gonna ask you this isn't the first question, but this is typically the first question I ask everybody who comes on here. What was the last movie or TV show that you watched that you had a strong opinion about?
Um, there's been a couple. Like most of what I've seen recently has just been like going to my girlfriend's house and like what she has on in the background. Because like I'm not really someone who actively seeks out things to watch, like besides like
Mm-hmm.
maybe YouTube videos of people taking stuff apart or like video essays and shit, or like just like weird technical shit like that.
Felt.
Um, just cause I don't know, it can be stressful, like I loved BoJack Horseman, but and like I that's not the last thing I watched, because like I kind of grew up watching that in a way, but like that's just so stressful to watch,
Yeah.
and like a lot of shows are kind of like that, but I guess the last one that I had a particularly strong reaction to was probably this show Xavier Renegade Angel, I think is what it's called.
Wow. Yeah,
Like it was like,
that's a deep cut. Jesus. Wow.
yeah, it was like I don't think I've experienced that level of like what the actual fuck with a TV show before. like but like to like in a way that I was like, hold on, let me keep watching. Like let me see what this is about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um it's terrifying. Like it's definitely like found its home in my nightmares, but like I don't know. I can't remember the last time I've had such a visceral reaction to something.
Yeah, it's just like like I don't want to call it nonsensical, but it's just like I couldn't sit here and tell you what Xavier Renegade Angel is about. Like I remember the first time I watched it and just like
It's just like if you made a Nintendo 64 do terrible, terrible things.
right
Like
or
that's what
like
the
or
whole show looks like.
yeah that or like somebody like modded Second Life. Like you ever been on
Yeah.
Second Life before? Like
Oh my God. Yeah, it just like puts like a centaur in there.
right. And like, you
Just
know, like and like we all know Adult Swim for like really weird shit, but that's easily the weirdest thing I've ever seen on Adult Swim. Like
yeah,
and
that
it's
one
just
takes the
like
cake. I'm happy that they're like still doing the really weird shit.
yeah. And that's an old show too. That's from like that must have been from like the late 2000s. Like I think I
Really?
might have been in high school when that came out. Yeah.
Damn, for some reason I thought that was kind of a newer one.
I mean, it's kind of timeless in that way. Like
Yeah, it's like the
it's
humor fits in really well, like with this, like I don't know, the memes that I see nowadays. I'm like, yeah,
yeah.
this is like that like kind of genre of absurdity, I think.
Come to think of it, I think that might have been one of my first exposures to like what we all now know as like meme culture, you know, because like meme culture is a thing that's like evolved and mutated so much over the course of the last 15 years. But I think that was my first real trip into something that I could be like, because like the show really does feel timeless in that way. Like it really feels like somebody made it yesterday. And I think like I can't remember the last time something really hit me like that wasn't the Midnight Gospel. I don't know if you've ever seen the Midnight Gospel.
I have seen the Midnight Gospel, and that one definitely hits in an, I think, a similar vein, especially that first episode. The first episode is kind of insane.
Yeah, the one with the
Um,
president.
yeah, where he's just like talking about addiction, like while like shooting all these zombies, you know.
Yeah,
I think the later episodes were a little difficult for me to digest, like in comparison.
yeah.
But that first episode, oh man, so insane. Like, and when I saw it, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna sit down for this.
Yeah, it's real heavy and like I don't know if you saw the last one, but like the one where he's talking to his mother and it's like it goes through her whole life and death and she died right before it came out. It's really fucking heavy. But
Actually, I think I do remember that. Like, I did see that, but it just like kind of just oof.
yeah, it's but like there's like my favorites were always there's one where he meets this fish man who's talking to him about like the practical uses of magic. It's like this fish man who like runs up on this ship full of like cat naval officers. It's somehow even weirder than I'm making it sound. And then there's the other one where they go to the jail. They go to time jail and they run into this one prisoner who keeps like they keep on trying to escape from the prison and they keep on dying and it just like restarts like that movie you ever see Edge of Tomorrow or like Groundhog Day before?
Yeah, I've seen it. I don't think I've actually seen Edge of Tomorrow, but my dad has seen it so many times that like I just kind of am familiar with like what happens there and like kind of like the sequence of things. So like I know
Right.
what you're talking about. I think I've seen that episode too.
Yeah, I think that one's my favorite where it's just like every time they like come back in a different way and it's yeah, just like just the fact that they managed to get Hamilton Ward to draw such weird, strange, beautiful shit to people just like it's so like I'm not a podcast person, which is funny because this is a podcast, but like that was one of the that's one of the times where I mean like there are like plenty of podcasts I fuck with, but like that was like a visual podcast in a way that really made the idea super appealing to me. and I was just like, this is really dope. Like it's just really, it's so easy to just kind of like fall into it and just let it wash over you and just kind of,
It's like its own world.
yeah.
It's like fully
And
world
that's
building.
right. And that's what Xavier Renegade Angel is to an extent. I mean, like it's not that deep, but like it gave me that same sort of like, this is, like there's nothing else out there like Xavier Renegade Angel. And the fact that we're talking about it right now is kind of crazy because I didn't expect to be here today. But
No, seriously. I mean, it kind of scratches the same itch that Off the Air does, although I think Off the Air does it a lot less offensively.
yeah.
Off the Air it's just like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's some Dan Deacon. And then Xavier and Get Angel. I just like feel slightly violated after I've seen a few episodes.
Yeah.
Um,
Like,
but like it's like certainly like the same kind of weirdness, I think.
yeah. And I like that, I
Oh, me
think
too. I love that stuff.
yeah, it's really, yeah, like if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 24.
Okay, cool. I'm 30. So we're not that far apart, but it's just really cool to me that like I remember when Adult Swim first started, like when they did the old bumpers with like the kids get out of the pool, Adult Swim type shit. Like I
Oh
like
damn! Like the
so to
stuff like
see it
Flying Lotus was scoring and shit.
even way before that, like
Oh
at least
wow.
2 or 3 years before that. So like to see Adult Swim stuff still reaching people who are younger than me, even if it's not by that much, is really really cool to me. Like it because it's just like that
Oh yeah,
whole
absolutely.
aesthetic. That whole aesthetic just feels so timeless and just so like once you're there, it's just kind of like it's just like a I don't want to call it a lifestyle, but it's just very like it's just like one of those aesthetics that people just like get now, like in the way that like you look at something like A24 movies, like people like like you like know what an A24 movie is when you're about to watch it in the way that you know what an Adult Swim show is before you even like as you're watching it, it's like, oh, this is an Adult Swim show,
Yeah,
like
it's like a if forgive me for using the term cinematic universe type of deal. But
it's all
like
good.
it's a lot less like I think obnoxious about it. Like it's just like a
Mm,
sense of like, oh, this all kind of exists within a similar sphere of things. But I don't know, that's how I've always felt about Adult Swim. It feels weird to say that like Adult Swim's like influenced me because like truthfully I haven't watched a ton of it.
hmm
Like at least like not myself. Um, but my brother did when I was growing up, and he put me onto a lot of the music that I'm into, and like even the stuff that I'm making, is like just fully inspired by stuff he showed me. And I mean, he showed me Off the Air and stuff. So like, and Flying Lotus, so it's like,
right.
in a way, like Adult Swim's been influential, like in sort of an indirect way, I guess.
Yeah. It's like
But
a, it's like a it's like a secondhand influence almost.
yeah, exactly, exactly.
Like,
Or it's like
um,
the place of it. It's like the host almost.
right. So for you, like since we're talking about that, like what's the first movie experience you can remember having? Like it could be at the theater, it could be at your cousin's house, it could be wherever.
Okay, I remember seeing no one ever feels the same way about this movie that I do. And now that I've seen it like as like an adult, like I can kind of understand that. But when I was a 6-year-old, for some reason I thought Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds with the tripod thing, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. And when I saw that in theaters, I heard that like all like the sound design in that movie is insane.
It really is, yeah.
Like it's next level. Like in and the CGI and everything. It's just like you really wouldn't believe that it was made in 2005.
hmm
But like seeing that in theaters, I was just like just so obsessed and like within that, I think not really registering the fact that a lot of violent death was happening on screen,
Yeah.
which is interesting now because it's like that's like something I really can't handle in
Mm.
movies and TV and stuff anymore. Which is also like kind of why I don't watch a lot of it. Like I can't really a little too similar to like Live Leak and shit now at this point.
Yeah.
Like now that I've lived through my teens, it's like, okay, yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, nah, that's like it's really interesting you bring up War of the Worlds in particular because I remember seeing it too, and I hated all the actors in it, but I also really appreciated how great it looked. And just like I had never like I knew that it was based on an older movie that was based on a short story, but I hadn't seen the first movie, so I was kind of blown by the whole, like, oh, the aliens got killed by the germs in the air thing. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. Like it was really just like a wow, man. Like the aliens, it was, I really had that
It's
moment
like, wow,
when I
we
first
really respect nature now.
like,
I mean, the irony of that is like they're not wrong. I mean, look at us
yeah,
now. We're in the same spot as those aliens right now.
damn,
Like we
basically,
should have
like,
learned from that. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
if they wouldn't have took over.
You could even, yeah, you look at you look at fucking you look at like the new Black Panther, fucking all the Taliconians, or I know they're wearing water masks because they literally can't breathe outside of the water, but it's like the same principle, I guess, like if it's just like you I can't believe I'm about to bring this up, but it's you can say the same. You ever see The Happening, the Mark Wahlberg movie where the plants are killing people?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
I thought it was garbage. It's widely considered to be a terrible movie, but it also kind of falls into that War of the Worlds, into that War of the Worlds shit, because like the whole point of the movie is that like people just start people just start committing suicide and nobody knows why. And at the end of the movie, it's revealed that like all plant life on planet Earth is like shooting spores into the air that are forcing people to kill themselves on some like respect nature type shit. It's a really bad movie and everything's explained really poorly, but that concept is like, wow. Like in a better movie, it'd be like, wow, you know?
That's
But
sort of what I dig about the I don't I tend not to really engage in like superhero movies, I guess, just because it's just not necessarily my thing. But
mhm.
if you've seen the animated show for Harley Quinn,
Yes,
like
I
the new
have.
one, yeah,
Mhm.
like Poison Ivy's whole thing is so badass, you know,
Yeah.
because like it is like kind of a similar like like you people have absolutely no respect for nature, but she does it in such a cooler way.
Hmm.
And also she's gay. Like that's so
Yeah.
cool. Well, I
Yeah,
guess like
nah,
not technically before, I guess someone shows up in the comments, but you
man,
know.
fuck it, who cares, like fuck them. But like it's because like I don't know that Poison Ivy's ever been canonically queer before. I think Harley Quinn has been, but I mean like it's kind of, they like implied it a couple of times, but they've never just gone out and been like, hey, I'm Poison Ivy, I'm gay, I got a girlfriend, I'm dating Harley, like, and like I really appreciate and respect the Harley Quinn show for that specifically, and on top of the fact that it's just like really well animated and very funny.
Oh,
But
absolutely. And it's
yeah.
like I don't know, I think writing like queer relationships in a way that's not like preachy or ham-fisted is maybe not an easy thing to do, or at least like I wouldn't know how to do that, and I hate when that's how it comes across.
Yeah, me
And
too.
I don't know, it feels more honest there. It's just like, I mean, granted, I haven't really seen much of the newer stuff. Like I've only seen up to like the I think like when the wedding gets called off, like with her and Kite Man.
Oh yeah, so that's the end of season 2.
I
Yeah,
think
that's the
yeah.
yeah. So I think, yeah, there's a whole new season that I think I only made it halfway through. It's cool, it's like I don't like it as much as I like the other stuff, but it's still got the same energy, same vibe. Like they're like officially a couple now, and they're going through some things. But yeah, like the whole the whole ecological aspect of her character has always been a thing. You know, like that's her
Oh,
whole thing, is that she
absolutely.
wants to give the world back to nature. But like the show is the first time where that's ever been, where she's ever been in a position where they're like, that's a good thing. You know,
Hmm.
like, you know, like you know, like she's like not exactly a hero. She's like an anti-hero, you know, in like
Hmm.
in like a Deadpool sense. And that's fun. And it's cool to kind of see her, because like Ivy's always been a villain. She's very rarely being portrayed in a way that's like sympathetic, and she's always been one of my favorite Batman villains.
Oh, me too.
I'm a superhero person. That's been me since I was a kid. But like,
No, that's
yeah,
good. Batman in particular has like always been something I've enjoyed a lot, like especially the villains. But I think that's because I
yeah,
played Lego Batman when I was a kid.
those Lego games were everything. I think
Literally.
oh, the last
Yeah.
one I played was fucking Lego Marvel Superheroes is the last one I played,
Oh, I
or
didn't even
at
know they
least the
made
last one.
one.
It's they made two actually.
Oh wow.
um, I never played the second one, but those games were I'm like between like Lego Star Wars and Lego
Lego
Star Wars,
Star
Lego
Wars is
Batman.
timeless.
Yeah,
Lego
like
Indiana Jones.
yeah, right. Lego Indiana Jones too. Yeah, just all those early Lego games were just so great. Like I just
Oh,
love the
absolutely.
idea of like translating Lego into a game. It just made all the sense, and they just found the template, and it was like, all right, let's just put this movie. Let's put in pirates. Let's put in Batman. Let's put in fucking Indiana Jones. It just kind of worked, and it was cute, and I liked the. Yeah, they did great with it.
It was they sort of fell off with Lego Harry Potter, and like that was before Harry Potter itself fell off, you know.
Yeah,
Um, and its creator especially.
yeah.
But like I remember it's like this is some interesting UI design for sure.
Yeah, like it's everyone, like there's this one
Sort of
TikTok
wish that
that,
was their only transgression, really.
what was that?
No, I said I wish that was their only transgression, like was like the clunky UI in the video games and not, J.K. Rowling's whole entire thing
Yeah,
now.
yeah, that's a it's like I was never a big Harry Potter person, but I know a lot of people who are. I mean, I'm a millennial. I know a lot of people who love Harry Potter, and yeah, it's just it was so sad. Like I read I think some publication put out a whole, they did like a whole story about what happened with her, and like the people that she was talking, and I was reading it and I was just
Yeah.
like, she got red pilled basically. It's really sad. It's
Yeah,
really,
she's
really
gone
sad.
like super like radicalized in a very weird direction. It's
Yeah, man.
and like in a way where it's just like I'm not sure if you can come back from this. Like separate from like, if you can come back and like be forgiven. It's like no, of course not. But like it's like I don't think you could even come back from like just thinking that way about human beings, you know?
Yeah, man.
I mean, you
Like,
can, I guess. Like it's maybe like kind of cynical or fatalistic of me to say that you can't come back from that, because I think people should try,
yeah,
but it gets real extreme.
yeah. It just kind of gets down, like it just kind of comes down to the whole Kanye thing, where it's like these two people they don't want to come back. You know, like it's not even like, like it's not even like should they? It's like, do they even want to? Like they're so far down the rabbit hole that you can't. You know, like it's like nobody else's responsibility, not nobody else's responsibility, but just like you have to, like
It
to
is
some extent,
primarily theirs.
right? You got to be willing to want to hear people out when it comes to like you're being wrong about this. And if they're not willing, there's only so much you can do. It's, it doesn't make it any less sad, but it's like, like what can you do? But either way, like while we're on the subject, turfs are terrible and they should all die.
Oh, I agree. I think punching turfs in the nose should be legal.
That'd be tight.
Amongst other things, which I probably won't say on recording.
Right, of course. But no, no, no. We just had to get that out there. We just had to get that out there.
Redacted.
um so as you grew up and started to experience more things, was there ever a movie or some sort of visual thing that you saw that kind of helped you appreciate film as something more than just entertainment? like not even necessarily in an artful sense, but just like something that really touched you and was like, oh, this is more than just like, hey, this is funny, or hey, this is cool, or hey, this is dramatic, you know? Like,
Yeah. You ever I forget what it's called. I think it's called I think it's called like Nowhere Nobody. It's the it was that short film that Earl did after some rap song.
yeah, right. I interviewed Naima Ramos-Chapman about that. Yeah, nah,
No way.
that's
That's
yeah,
so
nah,
fire.
I'll send it to you later. But
Please
yeah,
do.
nah.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that whole video is just like I don't know, just the way that every shot has like so much like so many layers of like meaning and symbolism and like almost like a sort of it's like presented almost as like a dream sequence. You know, like I've always been attracted to that kind of thing. And I feel like if I were like it's ironic because like I do have like a bachelor's in film, but like I'm not necessarily like a film oriented person. But I feel like if I was, I'd be making stuff like that, or at least I'd be trying to, you know.
right. I'm
Um,
tr
just stuff like that's the thing. Like I don't really know how to tell stories like in a I guess like direct way, and like I don't always know how to receive it either.
mhm. Yeah, it's weird because it's like film is a thing that people study, but it's like it's so like the idea of a film is so abstract. Like the idea of like a camera and of like recording sound is
Oh,
like
absolutely.
inherently abstract. You
It's
know, just like
inherently a ghostly thing too. You create
yeah,
ghosts whenever you do that. It's like, damn, your image, your voice is like trapped in this thing now, this black mirror. Like be gone. That will still, you
right.
know. And I mean,
And
that's sort of why I like sampling from like tapes and like these old gramophone records is like that's like very often the case. It's like someone who like might not be around anymore, or at least like there's just no trace of it because it's just, you know, an everyday person.
right. And that's I mean like that's something that Nowhere Nobody kind of covers really well, especially near the end. There's a couple moments from that that really stick out to me. I think the first one is there's the bit where like Earl's mother is like holding a baby who's supposed to be him, and like Red Waters playing in the background from some rap songs,
Mhm.
and like her eyes turn green, or they like turn a different color, and like one of them turns into something that isn't what they originally were.
I think I remember
And
that one, yeah.
so like there's that, and then of course like the specter of his dad hovering over everything, and then like at the very end where you have like all the clay hands around the coffin with the South African flag and the Pan African flag on it,
Oh
and
yeah.
his audio from the second to last. Oh, why can't I remember what it's called? I got the track list right here. From playing possum, like his little monologue from playing possum is playing over it. Just like that's like a literal ghost, just like in that frame. You know, like
No,
physically in the
absolutely.
frame, like auditorily, audio wise, just like like I think that short plays into all those ideas you were just saying really well, which is really like I haven't watched it since I haven't watched it in a couple of years. I probably haven't watched
Me
it since
neither,
like around the time
honestly.
it first came out, but I watched it so many times, and I
Yeah,
just got
I
lost in it, you
remember
know?
it's really wonderful. I remember showing it to one of my professors at the time, like, you know, I didn't want to say like, you know, I want to make something like this, you know, like not that on the nose, but this is like I like the way that this one speaks to me, you know.
Right.
Like and it's like I love like the way that like it would just get silent sometimes, like it would cut to like just like a whole new world, you know, like everything's white, like it's just, you know, caressing a
Yeah.
statue with clay hands, you know. It's like and it's like I don't know. I don't know. I think this album that I've been working on, like I feel like sort of does similar things. Maybe not consciously, but like I like taking you places and then taking you to other ones before you know it.
Right. And before we get to your music proper, when did you I mean, it sounds to me like music has been a pretty consistent part of your life, but like when did when did you really first start noticing music become a part of your life?
Um, I guess it became part of my life in stages because like like I took piano lessons when I was a kid. Like my first piano teacher, shouts out Mr. Armando, I think he really sort of gave me, or at least like taught me the love of music, the love of sound that sort of drives me even now, you know? And so I think like that was like sort of like what exposed me to it as like a language, as like a thing to be experienced. But then, that was when I was still living in San Diego, and then I moved to where I'm living now.
Hmm.
And with most of the music educators I had like after the fact, like I didn't really get that feeling. And a lot of times I would kind of get the opposite, kind of a resentment for the music, just because, they weren't great teachers. A lot of them were honestly very racist.
Hmm.
Uh, growing up brown in the first 10 years after 9/11 is not an amazing experience.
Man.
But
No.
and like it was like this music was like this thing that you did right or wrong. And it
Hmm.
was like this all these rules you had to follow, and you always had to make yourself maximally uncomfortable, you know. I don't really even think that was part of the music. I think that was just the teachers being a little bit sadistic. But
Yeah.
like that definitely like turned me off from it for a while, or at least like I think like I was really only in it like in a sense of like an obligation. And like
Right.
there were a few times like growing up like where I would try to record stuff with friends, but like, you know, couldn't always like translate what I was thinking. And also, like I was like 13, I wasn't really thinking super deeply about it anyways,
Right.
to where like I could like execute what I would want. But I guess like when I was like 15, 14 or 15, my brother started showing me a lot of the music that I'm, still really into, like Beach House, like MF Doom, rest in peace.
Yeah, always.
Like what's the name? I already said Beach House, huh?
Say Beach House again because Beach House
All right,
cranks.
all right, Beach House. Also like Clams Casino, Flying
Yep.
Lotus, of course, like and like
Shout
that
out.
whole, huh?
I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just gonna
Oh,
say
you're
shout
good.
out to. I was gonna say shout out to Clams. He's from Jersey. He's from like right near me.
Oh,
So
that's
I
so
have
cool. I
a
didn't know that.
yeah, yeah. No, he's from Nutley, which is like somewhere in like northern New Jersey. Yeah, Clams Casino is a very special spot in my heart. So shout out to him. Sorry.
I no, I love his work. He's like such a big influence on me. I've heard so much of his work. Like my brother showed me that there's that really famous video for I'm God, like
The
that
little B
fan
one.
video, like with the one with like the women in masks.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good
my
one.
brother showed me that when I was like 15 or 16. I was like, I didn't even know that music could sound like this. Like it can sound so like dreamy, like but like also like it sounded like it came from a time before things got really bad, because
Yeah.
like it was a difficult time in life, wasn't out yet,
Hmm.
that sort of thing. Um, and so like I think like from there, like it was like maybe like a year after that like I actually got into like making it. Like my brother had a pirated copy of like Ableton 8, I think it was. I think that was the
Yeah.
version that it was on. Um, and that's just what I've been using. I mean, when I went to university, I had to get a legit account because there was a Trojan horse in one of my viruses, in one of my
Mm,
viruses, in one of my VSTs.
yeah.
Um,
I knew what
and
you meant.
um, but shouts out to student discount. I guess knocks it down by like 50%. You should check that out if you're listening.
Yeah, please. Yeah, nah, yeah, like take advantage of those student discounts. Also,
But
go to your
also, like, I completely endorse piracy. I
yeah, that
completely
too.
endorse it.
That too. Yeah. Yeah, especially now. I just saw somebody tweet something yesterday about like somebody's like, "Oh, so like how are we supposed to watch all this stuff that's getting taken off the streaming services?" And somebody was just like, "Pirate it." Like, I'll teach you how. Like, if you're younger than yeah, they were like, if you don't know how to use like a torrent, like I'll teach you how to torrent. Like, DM me, like, but like pirate shit, use
I've
those
seen
student
some really
discounts.
weird takes in the producer community around piracy. I didn't mean to interrupt. I'm so
No,
sorry.
no, no, no.
But this is a thought that came like someone said like the beats aren't legit if they're made with like a pirated version of the software and you can hear the difference. And I'm just like what? Like you're just inventing stuff to be mad at this point.
Like,
Like
yeah,
no you
that's
can't. You literally cannot hear the difference.
yeah. It's not like a. It's
Like
so funny because
90% of my VSTs are pirated, okay? Like can you
like,
tell?
yeah, please pop quiz
Can you
time
like
type
tell me
shit.
which of my VST like first off tell me which VSTs I'm using and tell me which ones I paid for.
It's like it's crazy because like in like the video game world, obviously a lot of people will pirate and like illegally download quote unquote illegally download games and stuff like that, and like the creators will program stuff in that, like they'll program software into the game that will recognize that it's a pirated copy of the game, and it'll like fuck with the game in certain ways where like a bug will happen every time you try to jump, or like every time you pick up an item it'll be like,
Wow.
you're a cheater, get out of the game, like, or
Oh,
like
that's intense. I didn't know
or
that.
or like there are some where like if you have a pirated copy of the game, you'll start the game, get to a certain point, and the game will just crash, and it'll crash every like, but like VSTs don't work like that, like there's no,
I
like
mean, some VSTs kind of do that. Like they don't necessarily like they don't necessarily make you feel bad about yourself for it. In the way that that particular cutscene probably would if I had seen it.
yeah,
But I have one that like I can't really name drop any of these since they are pirated.
right.
But
Yeah, don't.
like I'll tell you after. But like
Yeah.
there's a couple that if you don't have like a license key or like you don't have like a serial type of thing like where you would have had to like register it and like go through their whole process, like
Yeah.
it'll actually just like cut out the audio every like
Mm,
30 seconds for about 5 seconds in a way that's like you can't really stylize that artistically, you know.
yeah.
I mean, I could probably find a way. I would find a way, but like
You could find a way. I think there's I'm
but
trying to remember. No, I'm sorry, finish your thought.
oh no, I was just gonna say, yeah, some VSTs like they require like extra licensing, this or that, and like will kind of gatekeep certain features. But like then there's also like, you know, people who create like workarounds or like who create versions of the file that are like already, have those credentials bypassed or something.
Right. Like I've used pirated versions way back in the day of Adobe Premiere. So
Oh
yeah.
damn.
It's yeah, it'll fuck around on you in certain ways that you don't expect. But I think that's more because
They
they're like
deserve it. Screw Adobe.
yeah, yeah, for real. But like I think stuff like that tends to be because they're just like missing pieces like a license key versus them like
Yeah.
deliberately being like, oh, this isn't going to work for you if you want to use this pirated version, or maybe it does. I haven't downloaded any VSTs lately, so I can't say, but
Yeah, like that's
I
that's
feel you
sort of what
though.
I
I
meant.
feel you.
Like it doesn't seem to like I don't know if like any of the VSTs like will like outright be like, oh, this is an illegitimate copy of it. Or like let alone be like you're a terrible person for using this version of it, you know? Like they'll just they'll I think have a little bit less outwardly moralistic security features.
Right.
that's so funny though. I hope someone makes a VST that does that. But at the same time, I completely endorse piracy,
Yeah.
as I
Yeah,
said.
nah. We're
Um,
we're
I
at
don't know
that
if I
point
should phrase
now.
it like that, but sorry, what?
Nah, 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 nah. I didn't mean to keep cutting you off. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah. So it's just interesting because like we're at a time like, do you remember when streaming was seen as like the thing that was like the countercultural equivalent to cable, where it was like you could just have like one or two and like you'd be straight, you know? And now there's like 17 different streaming services and you're paying like, I pay for Netflix, HBO Max, Disney Plus, and a bunch of others. And it basically comes out to what a cable bill would have been 15 years ago. And now it's
Yeah,
just and yeah, like I've been saying for years that streaming is the new cable, but now it like streaming is the new cable. Like everybody's moved there. That's like the de facto standard for at least for like like TV and movies now. So it's just like, yeah,
I remember when
piracy
Netflix
is all about
was
it.
I remember when Netflix was doing the GameFly model. You remember GameFly?
Of course I remember Gamefly. Yeah.
Yeah, like they would mail you the discs and stuff, like, and then
They still
Netflix was
do.
like, really?
Yeah. Netflix still mails DVDs.
Oh,
Like
that's so
you can,
crazy.
and I think GameFly might still exist. I
I
have to look
hope it
into it.
does, because GameFly really changed it up with that, and then I feel like Netflix kind of took it, and it was cool for like a few years. Like yeah, like there
Yeah.
was a couple years where it was like, oh wow, there's a lot of interesting stuff that's happening here that can be equally legitimate to like, other places that people are seeing TV or movies. And now you know, it's like you said, it's just kind of the standard.
Yeah, like Netflix is the system now. And
Yeah,
now it's just
exactly.
yeah, it's just and yeah, like now they're starting to like crack down on password sharing and like
And now they're like also like kind of doing like the same shitty business tactics that like a lot of like major cable networks would do, like with regards to, like who they're platforming and,
yeah.
you know, crackdowns on any internal dissent, that kind of thing.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's just it's just crazy to see the um just like the die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain thing is just like that really might be like top three movie quotes ever because it's just so
It's
it's just
evergreen.
like it's evergreen for everything, like it's just it hurts how evergreen and relevant that quote is like almost day by day at this point.
Literally
But
Kanye.
yeah.
Literally Kanye. Like he was so cool.
Yeah.
What happened to him? And I
Oh
mean,
man,
like I know that like he's sort of, this isn't like the first of like all of this shit from him,
yeah.
but I don't know. There was a time where he was so cool.
Yeah, he was the coolest person on planet Earth. Like I'll never forget it, like he raised so many of us. So it's weird having to kind of like put him to the side like this cuz like yeah, it was he was a big influence on me, but we're all at the point now where we're our own people and we can kind of take what we learned from his music and love and appreciate that, but also just be like, yeah, nah, you're tripping, get out of here. Like it's time for you to
Yeah,
go get some help, bro. Like he's been needed help for like at least the
I
last
think
5 6 years, but
I think that's the only meaningful like separation of the art and artist that you can really do. It's just like, yeah, you made your art was good, like your art was objectively really impactful, but
yeah,
also like, like you got to figure this out. Like you can't be doing this.
yeah, no, like
Like separate, like just because your art was great doesn't mean that like everything you do will be, like
right,
especially
yeah,
if you're just, just become a Nazi basically.
yeah, and I don't want to dwell too much on this, but the thing that really gets me about the whole situation is that if he was still putting out good music, if his shit was still fire, people would not care. I promise this shit wouldn't be happening. Like
No, that's true.
if Donda 2 was good, none of this would have happened. Like everything that's happening to him right now, I don't think it would have happened. Like it's just so
Yeah,
sad to consider that reality because there are that many people who go up for him or who were going up for him. And even them, even they're like, maybe it's time to stop. You know, like when the diehards are like, I don't know if I can follow you there, bro. Like
I
it's
guess he
time to
is a
pack it
little
in.
bit more mask off with it now than he used to be, though. And it's like I think a lot of people like don't really know how to recognize things as like maybe signs of deeper ideological leanings, you know? It's like people are
Yeah.
like, oh, like he's just hanging out with Trump because they're both rich, you know, or like things like that. It's like, oh no, they might agree on some things.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, maybe, like maybe they're both hanging around Tucker Carlson and maybe they're both hanging around Tucker Carlson for a reason, you know, type
Yeah,
shit.
no, seriously, seriously.
Um, but for you, considering you talking about everything going on with the music and film in your life, this has been really great, by the way. Like, I
Oh yeah,
love
this
the
has been
direction
so
this has
much
gone
fun. Yeah, we should
already.
keep like we should keep just like talking on like FaceTime shit. This is fun.
Oh yeah, we could do this totally. But like for you growing up and kind of like having this convergence of music and film, was there ever a period of time in your and I mean like you also like you have a bachelor's in is it film studies or cinema studies specifically? Because mine's in cinema studies, so that's like my frame of
uh,
reference.
I
But
think I think UC Davis calls it cinema and digital media,
okay,
but
so
it's like slightly misleading, at least like in terms of like what I was mainly studying, because like I didn't get to do much of the tech like the actual production. It was a lot of theory mostly. And I
mhm,
think because of that, like I haven't necessarily been able to, you know, do much like film wise, like whether that's like in terms of a career or like even like making visuals for my own music. It's like just kind of a lot.
yeah,
It's like
it is a
something like I
lot,
want to be there because you know people always tell me like this feels really like visual, you know, but
hmm
you know, like all that uh I think brain power is put into the music and also it's like that's the medium that I know how to speak in, you know, so
right.
it can be a little bit like stressful like to then try to be navigating a medium that I don't feel that in, but then you know you have to get out of your comfort zone, I guess.
Yeah. But for you, was there ever a period of time where those two, where you like consciously recognize that those two zones kind of complement each other, like music and film as two
Oh,
things?
absolutely.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Um, I feel like I don't think that Earl Sweatshirt video was like my first time feeling that. Like I'm kind of struggling to remember like when I first like where I first got that feeling from something. But I don't know. Like I think that film and also I was during the first leg of the pandemic, I was listening to you're familiar with The Caretaker, right?
Yeah, I remember the caretaker.
Yeah, everywhere at the end of time. Like there's not a as far as I know, there aren't really any visual components to that besides the album covers and the video essays that people have made on it. But it's like it's a very similar thing of like, you know, taking motifs and like making them do things you wouldn't expect.
Hmm
You know, like whether that's like using sound as like, you know, like some sort of maybe like narrative or expressive tool in the way that they do in that Earl Sweatshirt video, you know, or whether that's like using sound as a symbol or an expression of like a memory and like how that
Right,
kind of falls apart and entangles over time. You know, like just this idea of like sound as like something more than itself.
right. Yeah, because like like people talk about like smell as the sense that's most that's like the closest link to memory, but like sound is there too, and I think like especially like when you consider like just like the idea of sampling,
Mhm.
and I
Oh,
think
absolutely.
I'm always really interested in stuff that like explores that, like, your shit really explores that. I've been listening to a lot of Boards of Canada lately. I'm not sure
Oh,
if
I
you're familiar.
love
Yeah,
Boards of Canada. That's one of my
yeah,
favorite. That's one of my favorite artists ever. Or
yeah,
are they a
man.
band? I don't know what to call them. It's two
They're
people.
yeah, like a group or something. I don't even know, but like music has a right to children is one of my favorite albums ever made. That shit is just
Oh,
like
it's so
it
beautiful.
it makes me feel so nice, like it feels like it feels like walking through like a field of flowers, but like you
Hmm.
can't see anything, or like not that you can't see anything, but like everything's like really blurry, but like
Hmm.
still gorgeous. It's like
It's like
it's weird.
hazy, but with like it's hazy like in the same way that VHS is. You know,
Right.
like it's
Yeah.
like hazy with a really nice warmth and texture to it. Have you
Mhm.
heard Gio Gotti, the one with like a red cover, like with like a
Yeah. 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 It's like
That's my favorite album from them, like ever. Just one of my favorite albums, period. Honestly.
the cover reminds me. You ever see this horror movie called The Descent before?
Mm-mm.
So I won't tell you what it's about for now, but long story short, the original poster for it, like it takes place underground.
Mhm.
Or I guess I got to explain it a little bit. So it's about this group of women who are like spelunkers, and they go into this cave to go search for some, I forget what they're looking for. They encounter some mole people basically that are like these like vampire. But anyway, that's all you really need to know about the movie. But like the poster itself is them like sitting at like the edge of something in the cave, and they're like all sitting on and next to each other in a way that makes them look like they form a giant skull with their bodies, like on some
Oh,
like
sort of
interpretive dance shit.
like that Salvador Dali thing.
Yeah, kinda. And the cover for that Boards of Canada album reminds me of that poster a lot. I'll send that to you later too, just so you have like a
Oh,
frame of reference
absolutely.
for it. But yeah, yeah, yeah.
You've seen Howl's Moving Castle, right?
Of course I have. Yeah, it's one of my
Yeah, oh,
favorites.
of course. Like Studio Ghibli, that's a big influence on me too, I think. But
Yeah.
there's that sequence like I think like after he swallows the star, like all like this like the figures are sort of like dancing around him. It's like it kind of looks a lot like that too, in a way.
Yeah.
Like that's what I see when I look at it. I used to think it was a wheel, though, the first time I looked at it.
Damn.
But
Yeah.
the way that they sample on there like really just changed the way I look at this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, like I don't really know. I don't know how else to describe. I played it for one of my best. Like I played Music Has a Right to Children for one of my best friends. He had never heard of them before, and I like had a hard time explaining what they were about. I figured it out eventually, but like I just played it, and he was like, "I get it. This shit is tight." Like it's just one of those where it's like no explanation could really do Boards of Canada justice. I don't think, it's just like you just got to go listen. So anybody listening, go listen to Boards of Canada because they're tight.
Boys of Canada is so fire. My favorite song from them would be Kid for Today or 1969, if you want to check those out.
Damn, both great songs.
Right?
Damn, man. Yeah, if I didn't have a review to finish writing after this, I'd just go listen to Boards of Canada. But but as you got older, and you really started to come into your own, or not even just come into your own, but like when did you first know that music and rap specifically was gonna become more than just like a hobby? When was it like, oh, this is like I'm doing this, like I'm here forever. Maybe not forever, but like I'm here, you know?
um, I would say pretty early on, honestly. Like I didn't really ever, foresee like going someplace with it really. Like even the fact that like, we're here having this interview is really crazy. Um, like I definitely still feel that like that. But I guess pretty early on because like there weren't really a lot of things that made me feel joy when I was younger, you know. At least like at least like maybe when I was a little kid, but like I was before I was exposed to a lot of this stuff. And by the time I was a teenager, there was like too much stuff going on to really feel like any joy about anything. And I was
Right.
at a place in my life where I couldn't really or I really didn't want to express any emotion whatsoever. It just didn't work for me anymore.
Right.
But like I've noticed with like music, and especially like when I heard a lot of rap music, like a lot of Mac Miller's stuff, rest in peace, a lot of
Mm-hmm.
MF Doom, a lot of Blue in Exile for sure, Earl
Yeah.
Sweatshirt, like that album specifically. I don't like shit. I don't go outside.
Yeah.
Like that album in particular, and especially like just the way that, because I don't want to call it the live leak era because like that's kind of embarrassing, but like teenagers on the internet, they find
Yeah.
their way into that corner of things, and like that was a period in my life like where like I had been exposed to a lot of that, and I was like just really, really intrigued by the way that like the instrumentals sort of felt like that.
Yeah.
Like the instrumental for Grief kind of feels like how heavy the air is. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like I don't know, like I think like that sort of, I mean like I certainly, it's been a long, long time since like I've seen anything like that, but like I don't know. I think at that point it was like this is very meaningful. It's very
Right.
expressive, and like it feels like he's speaking to me a lot of times.
Yeah. That album is so special. Like,
It really is.
yeah,
It's
I
like there's
was
not a single song that I skip on that one.
for real. I think it came out in what 2015. I was a year out of college when that song or when that album came out, and I was already an Odd Future fan, but like that was like I was like, oh, this kid is special. Like this is like this. It was so different, and I remember people being so turned off by it, like, oh, this is too dark, it's too muddy, da 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 da. And I was like, I love this. Like
It's like that's like kind of what we need, It's like that's like the
yeah,
music of that era. Like especially like you
yeah,
look back on it now, and it's just like, this is like the pinnacle of that post Odd Future darkness.
right. Like they had the crystal ball, like people like him, and there were a lot of other people on that type of time too. But like I think they had the crystal ball in that sense, and it's just really cool to kind of see how influential that stuff's turned out to be.
Oh,
Like
absolutely.
yeah, and your your first project, or at least the first project I was able to find, Anhedonic Mirages, is that how I pronounce it?
Hmm.
Okay. So I was listening to it earlier today and just refamiliarizing myself, and I'm really fascinated by the way you compared the creation of it to your own transition. Like on Bandcamp, the little like album description you have of
Oh
it was
yeah.
like really like that I was like, wow, I've literally never heard anyone, I've never heard anyone compare, like destroying and recreating yourself as a person to destroying and recreating stuff as like sampled music. And like that really touched me. It's
Oh,
like
thank you.
yeah, and like just like I guess just because I'm curious, like since this was around the time you really started to make music, and like correct me if I'm wrong, but did you start making music around the time you were transitioning? Is that right?
No, way before.
Oh, okay, okay.
I started making
Um,
music when I was like 14 or 15, but I started transitioning when I was like 20.
got you. Okay, okay, okay. So,
But like I think like but anything that you can find now like that's up like is post transition though, and like I do keep it that way on purpose, of
right.
course, but um yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I brought that up just because I wanted to I mean like feel free to tell me if this is too much, but were there any other ways that your transition affected the way that you made music? Like outside of what you mentioned in that outside of what you mentioned in that description before?
um well, I mean, I think that idea of like destroying and creating new things, like like that's still like very much how I have viewed the process, and like that's very much still kind of how I feel about sampling and sampling music. But it's kind of difficult to say, I guess. Like besides the the actual feelings, like the actual emotion that's being put into it. It's a lot
Right.
of stuff that like I can't exactly express with words, and that's why I don't,
Right.
because I don't really know how to. It's like I
Because
feel
that's
like I
what the
can
music's
only,
for.
yeah, it's just it's like hopefully I can give a glimpse of like how otherworldly this can be, like, but also like it can be real isolating, real hazy experience alongside all that. It's a whole spectrum of things. But I mean,
Right.
I wouldn't want to, obviously I wouldn't want to pigeonhole like everything I make as being about that. But it's
Yeah.
like like I would also be remiss to say that like it doesn't color every single thing that I make.
Right. Yeah. 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 That's why I was a little nervous or hesitant to ask that question because
I
I
only
didn't want
really
it.
get weird about being asked about it if it's like not in relation to the music. Like
Right.
sometimes like I have like I won't say their name obviously, but like a friend from around here like was inviting me to a radio show of theirs, and they were like, yeah, like I just want to ask you about your transition and stuff. Like they didn't really say like how it related to the music, but just like just the typical like spectacle of having transition. And I'm just like, there's that doesn't really make me special. There's a bajillion girls who are doing this, and also that's not really
Yeah.
something I like talking about with people.
Right. Yeah. Of course.
But
It's
when it
it's
comes to the music, I do love talking about it. So like,
yeah.
I appreciate I appreciate the respect with which you've navigated it.
Nah, man, no, that shit is important to me, like not just as a queer person myself, but just like the general like self-respect of like not even self, but just like like you're my guest and I want you to be comfortable. But that was something that really struck me. Like I read that and I was listening to everything you sent me over the course of the last few months, and it really just like changed my perspective on it in a way that I hadn't thought about before. And I was like, that seems like an interesting thing, but it also might be a bit much. I don't know. I just wanted to
Well, I
be
mean,
sure.
I did write it there, so it's
Yeah.
like it's like certainly something that like in an artistic sense, it's like I'm more than happy to talk about it because it's like I don't have to say too much about like what was actually going on during those years, you
Right.
know.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, and even like the album that I'm working on right now, like I feel like I wouldn't call it a sequel or even a direct continuation because like that's sort of what Elysian Morning does.
Yeah.
But this is, I think, like the most like thematically similar to that, or it's almost like the other side of it. Like whereas like that's like, the initial process of destroying and recreating this new thing. This new one is sort of coming to grips with the fact that like that thing can't ever fully die, can't
Right.
ever fully be destroyed. No matter how hard I try, no matter how hard I want to.
And that's what makes the title of your new joint so interesting. I thought I lost you. Like,
Yeah, it's like
like
it's I like that because it's like it came to me in the same way Anhedonic Mirages did. I didn't think of it at all. It just came to me. Like which is important I think for track names and album names. But it's like something I think I find myself saying often or thinking often in a lot of different ways. Like there's like that sense of it, of course. That's like a big one. But then there's of course like, you know, usually I think I've lost someone, that sort of
yeah.
deal, just like kind of,
Mm,
or at least like navigating the world with the sense of having like lost something,
yeah.
but it's
But
like
also just
uncertain.
yeah. Yeah. And then just like kind of having that in you or like finding that in you.
Yeah,
I don't yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it's interesting because like I don't usually figure out like I guess like the concept of an album like until like it's all done. It's like
Mm,
more so just like going a lot of it sort of comes out of me in a mostly subconscious way and then like going back and like interpreting it you know
yeah.
so it's like even that like what I just said, like I don't know if that's a complete interpretation because it's still in the works and I haven't
Right.
fully like sat with it as like a complete thing yet, but it's almost done. i'm i'm
Fire.
i'm so excited. It sounds very different from the things I originally sent you. It's like a
Damn,
complete 180.
that's fire. I can't wait.
I
I love a good surprise. And one of the
mean,
things
shit,
I love,
that's what Danny did with Coranta.
uh-huh.
Like, I don't know
Yeah,
if you were in that Instagram live when he was like playing it. He was just like streaming the whole album a few days ago on his Instagram live, and
no,
like,
I missed it.
oh no, it was so fire. But like I've heard like a version of it before because like he had played early versions of those songs on his Twitch streams before,
Yeah,
and I don't know, like just that evolution is just in between those versions is so crazy to me.
damn.
And you know, I think like working under his wing for this, even though it's like, you know, mostly hands off, you know, like I'm here in California, he's in Texas, you know, like but like just observing the way that he's worked and you know, like he's always been like one of my biggest influences as an artist and a human being, you know, like
Yeah.
but just like a like the amount of like attention to detail and like aftercare for an album, uh like I think that's something that really resonated with me and something I'm really trying to keep in mind with this one because like Anhedonic Mirages, like I started making that like maybe a month or two before I actually put it out, and it's the same thing with
Hmm.
the album that came after it. And even the one that I put on Deadverse was like kind of just a lot of old beats that I sort of put together for Bandcamp Friday once. And then Mr. Brooks was
Right.
like, "Hey, this is actually fire," you know.
Yeah,
Shout out to him, by the way. That's Dialect,
truly.
Mr. Brooks. But like this one, like I've been working on for about a year.
And you know, like one of the things I love about your music, we've been talking a lot about haze, and your music is very hazy and like a in like a dark and ominous, but also like really comfortable sort of way. Like in the thing I love about your music is that it invites me to want to go in and like pick out the pieces of like what did it take to put all of this together. Like my favorite instrumental music, like that's what it does for me.
Thank
Like
you. That
I
means
want
a
to
lot.
deconstruct it like a puzzle. And just because I was curious about that, like
I
walk me
could
through the
show you
process.
some. I
um
honestly might be easier than explaining it because I don't know what I do half the time.
oh yeah. Damn. Yeah, because I was just gonna ask like what it was like make like what the process of making a song is like for you.
Was there any particular song that you were like curious about, or just like in general? Because like it can kind of
um
change.
uh um I guess since we're talking about specific songs, let's one that really got me from Anhedonic Mirages is You Are a Prison.
Oh yeah, that one's one of my favorites too.
What was it what was it like putting You Are a Prison together, just as like a yeah, as an
Uh,
example?
wow, so like that one was like I'd actually released a version of that song like before the pandemic, like a year before the pandemic, called Mamuni's Dirge. Like, cause like my grandpa had like just passed away at the time. Mamuni was what he called me and my mom, you know.
Hmm.
And so like the whole bass line and stuff that's happening and like the weird sort of I don't know what you would call it, like string thing that's happening throughout like the whole first leg of that was kind of just taken from that song, like just repurposing it. Like that whole album is just made from those old songs that were on my hard drive, you
Right.
know. Um
Sampling yourself is a flex, by the way. Be proud of
Thank
that.
you. Thank you. I mean,
That's
I think
crazy.
sampling yourself is like one of the coolest things you can do because it's like the music doesn't die. You can give it new life, keep it interesting that way. And
Right.
you could be like the caretaker and make that like your entire thing. And it would be cool as heck, you know? I
Yeah,
had to censor
totally.
myself.
Wait, what? Why you gotta censor yourself? This is
I said heck.
oh, okay. Yeah. No, I was just letting you know you don't have to like censor yourself.
No, no,
You
sure.
can.
I'm completely joking. I know
Uh,
I've cursed.
I'm sorry. I don't
You're
know
good,
about
you're good. You're good, you're good.
um, but
I guess the
Anyway,
process on one of these newer songs would be a lot different though, because like I'm kind of trying not to do old stuff because it's like in a way like those are beats that like my past self made, on anhedonic mirages, like at least like the raw components. Whereas this, a lot of it like I've made within the past year. Like even like I actually fully switched out the first song, like from the version that I had sent you. Like it used to be called
mhm,
Help Me. Now it's this one's called Collapse and Withdraw. It's real fun.
mhm.
And that one I literally just made that one I think like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
Right.
So like it's like very fast evolving, but the process is a little bit different for those. Like I've been doing a lot more stuff with like MIDI and like a lot more like actual like, you know, programming of drums or like kind of more, I think, a little bit more thought put into the chops.
Yeah.
But it's still like I would still say it's like primarily sample based. And there's some YouTube to MP3 stuff. Like that's used to be what I usually
Yeah.
sampled from was like just YouTube rips and
Classic.
stuff.
Yeah. Bread
But
and butter.
now,
Definitely.
now that like I've, got more like tapes and like records and stuff, um, there's some pretty important samples on the album that are just constructed stuff I've found. And like that's the stuff that like really has ghosts on it, because it's like
Yeah.
it has like the loneliest ghosts. It's ghosts that like probably no one but me is even thinking about, or much less, giving a voice to. Like
Right.
I found like cassettes with like funerals on them, with like wedding ceremonies, like vows and stuff. Um, just rotting in the shelves of thrift stores and
Hmm.
warehouses. And so it's like it's sort of interesting to put those ghosts here. And a lot of them are here in the
Right.
album.
Yeah. And like even just from the stuff I've already heard, it's like like you can feel that energy moving around. And that's like that's the beautiful thing about sampling in and of itself, like whether it's shit that you're like warping beyond recognition or just like even just like a basic playback, like there's just
Hmm.
like it's sampling is such a sacred thing, just in the sense of like you're literally repurposing something old and just like giving it not even so much new life but like a new context, and that's like that's important, like, and it's just like that is creation, like that doesn't have to be something that's like dirty or lazy or like you're stealing from people. Like that's never how I've looked at it. It's clearly not how you look at it. And I think there's just
People
like a
who look
lot
at
of
it like that, I think, are just a little bit too capitalistically minded in nature. I don't know.
yeah, I think so too. I think
You
so
know,
too.
it's just like you're really up on that private ownership thing, aren't
Hmm.
you?
Right.
But I mean, it's real fun to sample from real records, like that first song is taken not from this specific record, but from one of these
Right.
gramophone types.
That's hard. Wow.
Thank you. It's
Oh,
actually I don't know if you can actually see it. Uh,
ooh, I like that.
Thank you. I don't know if it's like mirrored on your side or if it's just like that for me, but
I can't tell.
she's
I
supposed to be looking to the right of the paper.
um I guess yeah. No, I can see that it's looking to the right of the paper.
Hey, cool.
Nah, what is that?
That's a woman, but it's
Right,
like
but
a
is that like a cover for something, or is that like is that
this
just
is
like
the
a
album
picture you
cover.
have? Okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. My bad. I forgot we're on the podcast, and people can't
No,
really
you're
see what I
good.
just pulled up.
I was just yeah, I was just looking at it and I was like, is that a cover or is that like just like a random picture that you like? I mean, it's cool either way. I just wasn't sure. That's tight.
Thank you. Yeah, no, this is the album cover as of yet. which, I'll probably post something about this on my socials, sometime in January, maybe.
Hmm.
Like
Um,
I'm not saying much about it like concrete, like on socials or anything until I've submitted everything to Danny.
right, of
It's
course.
can't jinx it, you know what I'm saying?
Last question I have about the new album specifically. Like from what I've heard, it's like you're it's like the grandest thing you've done in terms of like scope. Like the sounds are bolder, you got hella features on it. And you're just like wandering to all these darker and fascinating and more fascinating places than you have before. Would it be safe would it be safe for you, having worked on this for like a year and having been like the longest you've worked on a project like this, would it be safe to consider this like a culmination of everything you've done so far, or is that too cliche?
I would say it's like, I mean, well, shit, now that you described it as cliche, I don't know.
I'm no no no
But I
no
mean,
no
it
no.
is technically
I'm asking
that.
you if you think it's too cliche. Like I don't think it's cliche, but
I mean, like
when
I would say so. I mean, like maybe it's like a little bit more than that even because it's like it's just like something different fundamentally, than what I've been trying to do before. Like everything I've done before, like is repurposing the past in some way, or like, and I mean, in some degree, that's happening here too. Like with the
right,
sampling, obviously, but it's also like also like I think more of a reflection of like how I artistically think now. And
right.
like sort of like the worlds that I really wanted you to see, which I felt like I didn't really invite you to clearly enough on the first albums.
Hmm.
That's also why like I've been spending so much time just going back and like re-engineering all the mixes on everything, is making it really sound as full and as I don't want to say polished. It's definitely not polished. It's definitely still got that grit to it, but like definitely a lot of like clarity and presence
Hmm.
and
And
strength.
do you mix and master all your stuff yourself?
I do all my mixing usually. Dialect mixed one of the tracks on Mars Kumari type beat and mastered that whole thing. I truthfully don't really know how I'm gonna go about mastering with this one. Um, but in the past I would do that part of it myself too.
That's hard.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I do all my mixing myself generally. Because it's like, I don't know, like the way that I mix is probably not like recommended. A lot of times, like it's like not like the best way to mix. It can be a little destructive sometimes. And it's like, like maybe like a professional engineer wouldn't think to do that.
Hmm. Right. But that's how you get to the sound that makes you you. So fuck it.
Thank you. Thank you. I like the sound now.
Oh,
I can play you some if you want. Um,
oh man.
like I can play you like a short little snippet if you want.
Sure, yeah. As yeah, I don't think I've never played music on here before. So if
Oh,
you
for real?
yeah, no, you'd be the first if you want.
Oh,
Like,
dang. Yeah, I'd be honored if that's all right. Don't want to.
yeah, sure.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, yeah. This is track two of the album.
Yeah, let's go. Okay, let me know if you can hear this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was probably like just under half. Um, that was like just under half of the half of a premonition.
Oh
And
wow, yeah.
yeah, yeah, like we hit the 3 minute mark, and that's it sounds gorgeous, like
Thank you so
I
much.
yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it other than just like what was it? Yeah, I guess since we're here, what was it like kind of like what was it like putting that song together specifically?
It kind of happened in a lot of stages too. Like if you heard the first version of this, which like you heard like a pretty early version, but even like the version like the earliest ones before that, are completely different. Like it was, I think I would say like it was originally like a lot maybe jazzier, maybe dancier, but like a sort of
Mm-hmm.
darkness took it over, as tends to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And at a certain point, because like I've been in contact with Yubo. She's actually a very good friend of mine. Um, and like she's helped me actually like with a lot of the other samples and stuff that's in the album too. Like a lot of both her voice and like instrumental work kind of shows up throughout the album, which is really cool because I used to listen to her music a lot when I was like beginning my transition. But like I think at a certain point, like she had offered to do vocals for a song, like if like I had, had any particular song in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And, I suggested this one. And so then it's just been kind of constructing layers and layers after that. Like there was like she had originally just sent like the main vocal track, and then a couple weeks later it's like some more synth layers, some more vocal tracks sent over. And at this stage, like running it through the 4 track and like kind of sort of like processing the stems with that. That sort of and now it's sort of now it sounds the way that it does now, which is very different. That was kind
Right.
of long-winded, but
I got I only no like yeah, it sounds really gorgeous, really spacious, and her vocals kind of blend in with everything in a really nice way. Just like it sounds like really it
thank
just
you.
yeah, no, it just it sounds like air filling a hallway, if that makes sense. It's
Thank you.
strange to describe that, but yeah, I like it.
I want things to have that sort of kinetic sensation with them,
Hmm.
like of
And
of like the space itself moving, not just the sounds.
right. And like we've talked a lot about rap today and a lot of other different types of music too, but like like is your music is you pull inspiration from a lot of different places, but I feel like it'd be safe to say that you kind of identify the shit that you make as rap music. Is that right? Or would you consider it something else?
Well, I don't know if it's I guess considering I don't personally rap at this juncture, it's hard to say like the extent to which I could call it that specifically. Although this is definitely a hip hop album, and I definitely consider
Hmm.
myself a hip hop musician.
Right. Yeah.
But I guess like more as like a beat maker. Um,
Right.
but sorry, what was the original question?
Yeah, so no, you're good. So the question was just like, is genre a thing that matters to you? Like, do you, yeah, I mean, like you were just talking about how like this is, like this is a hip hop album, and you consider yourself to be a hip hop artist to some extent. But like is genre something that matters to you? Like, do you feel
Not
like
a
you
ton.
necessarily? Okay, yeah, I didn't think so,
Not a
because
ton, because like it's
yeah.
like I think it's a little difficult to classify some of this. It's like it's a hip hop album, but like not every track has a verse on it, and shit. Not every track has drums on it.
Right.
Not that not to get into like the philosophy of what makes something hip hop, but like
Yeah.
um, but like also like I do kind of resent being described as an ambient artist. I will say, just because it's like like yeah, it has ambient qualities, but there's more going on than that.
Yeah,
You know, like there's still like structure that like I do put a lot of care into. Not that ambient
yeah.
artists don't, obviously, like I have, but like it's just being constructed a little bit differently, I think.
Right. Yeah, yeah. This isn't something that I would like ambient music has structure, but this is definitely like there's a little more, there's a different kind of intention behind it. Like not even because like they both have intention behind them, but this is like it feels more methodical what you're doing, like especially now that we know like the pieces that are going into it type shit. Like this is like it's just different and and it can be hard to put that into words sometimes, but
Exactly,
like
and that's like why genre doesn't beyond like calling myself a hauntologist because like that's just sort of where I stand with the sound philosophically.
right.
Like I I don't think a lot of genre descriptors are very useful, at
Mhm.
least not for me. Like there definitely are for a lot of people, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I just make what I make. I just make stuff
right.
that I want to hear, I guess.
And yeah, now hauntology is that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, that's a
That's
conversation we definitely need to have.
yeah, no, we could definitely have that. But for anybody listening who's not familiar with the idea of hauntology, like real quick, it's just like hauntology is just like like we've been talking a lot about ghosts, and like hauntology is sort of like it's just kind of like examining how certain things, like I'm probably gonna butcher this, but like essentially
It's a really
hauntology
hard thing
is,
to explain, trust me.
yeah, just
I,
like like in the in the barest possible layman's terms, it's kind of like Ghost in the Machine type shit. Just like
yeah, it's like
yeah,
observing the
that's
way that things operate like ghosts, like the way like it's a philosophy of ghosts, but not actual
mhm,
ghosts, but more just like the
right.
way that human presence lives on, or like the way that, certain entities or like certain forces, whether those are social or economic or environmental, like start to
Yeah,
make an appearance before they actually do anything. And like just the way that things without an actual form can have an influence on material reality.
right. Exactly. Yeah, you described it way better than I could have. Coined
Oh,
by a
thanks.
guy named Mark Fisher, and it's something that a lot of people are in my general surroundings have kind of been into lately, and I've read a bit of his work and started to dive into it as much as I can. It's really interesting and definitely worth looking into, especially since I can't really help y'all with that.
A lot of
I'm
it's like
not there yet.
also a whole realm of music too, for anyone who's listening. Like the Caretaker's entire discography falls firmly within the realm of hauntology, but so does Burial, you know?
Yep.
Like there's literally that Mark Fisher and Burial interview, you know?
Yeah.
Um and then I guess like that's like the stance by which I call myself a hauntologist too, is just like sort of maybe working with the same ideas of memories. Well, not the same ideas, but like just still like working with ideas of memories and things beyond the actual sounds,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah, totally. And like like I guess since we're talking about hauntology, we can move on to the archival work, because I know you mentioned that earlier, and that's something that's really important to you. So like talk to me about what it means to be an archivalist, and just like I'm really fascinated, especially considering your fascination with like physical media, like with like your synthesizers that I can see but everybody else can't. Just like the whole, like the idea of like what does it mean to be an archivist in the digital age, like and like you're someone who I think does a really good job of kind of utilizing both the physical and the digital to kind of bring all this together. So like what does archiving mean to you, and what does it mean to you to be an archivist in the modern era, like in 2022? Because that's a really fascinating thing to me.
So I'm like definitely by no means like a professional with it, like it certainly all just kind of comes as like interest to me. Like just because I don't know, especially in the age of streaming, a lot of media doesn't have a physical place anymore, you
Yeah.
know? So like even stuff that's forgotten, like it's like that MySpace link is probably still up, you know? Or like it's like it might be somewhere on archive.org, but it's like if it exists in one place, it can theoretically exist in an infinite amount of places.
Especially
Whereas
on the internet. Yeah.
exactly. Whereas with like, these like gramophone records and stuff, which like, a lot of people like like I see the way that these are stored, they're stored like much differently than most of the records in thrift stores are. They're not really laid out for you to peruse through. They're just sort of like stuffed in a corner a lot of times because like most people can't actually play them. Like it's a different speed, different kind of needle, uh, just like a few different variables that make it hard to play those kinds of things on a modern machine. So I
Yeah.
guess like for me, like archival work would involve taking those things which are confined to really one place in time and space, at least like, in that particular version of it that I'm seeing. Um, and like putting it somewhere that like more people can see it. Like I have a second Bandcamp that I've been working on, which, I haven't really publicized anything with it yet because I want to wait until I have more stuff uploaded. But sort of like a library where I'm just like uploading the stuff that's archived, because it's you can't really hear a lot of it. No, it's not on streaming. Some of it's not
Right.
even on the Wayback Machine, like some of it could really be gone forever. But then there's like the aspect of like some things which like it's like maybe this should be gone forever, or like maybe this isn't my history to archive, like uh you can imagine a lot of wild stuff was being pressed in the 20s and 30s. It's like
Yeah.
like in the, like that's like a like that's a period of time I like sampling from, like at least like the classical music, because a lot of it is really mournful,
Right.
very like that ghost is very evident in it. But then there's like also like you could be a hell of a lot more racist.
Yeah.
You can just like straight up say like some white man's burden type of shit and like make that the title of your song.
Right. Totally.
And it's like I see stuff like that. I'm like, don't know if I want to preserve this.
Yeah, that's the other side of the lost media conversation because yeah, like there's so much stuff that could be considered lost media across music and film that's really you know,
It's like yeah, it's technically something that could be lost, but it was like something horrible at that time. It reminds you
yeah,
not to romanticize. It's like if anything, it just reminds me not to romanticize when I'm sampling. I'm like, yeah,
right.
this classical music is cool and stuff, but this is like, this is a terrible time in human history.
Yeah,
If you
it's
weren't white at least.
right. Yeah, nah, it's just like not like not everything is worth not that not everything's worth saving, though I guess that is true. But like just not
That's what I
everything.
mean too. It's like where it's like I think like there's like maybe someone out there who like should archive this stuff, but it's like I don't know if it's really my place.
Hmm. Yeah,
Especially since
definitely.
it's especially because when it's like a lot of racism that's not necessarily directed towards my people. It's like this is something that I'm gonna like treat like a bottomless pit and just try to sidle around it instead of falling in.
Right, yeah, because yeah, no, as we all know, racism comes in many different flavors,
Oh
you know?
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It
many
is
different flavors.
so multifaceted.
Um, but before we before I hit you with this last question, we talked about the Bruisers earlier, and we've talked about dead verse and dialect quite a bit. Dialect's an alum of the show. Shout out to him. I hope he's doing okay with his new baby.
Oh yeah, I
He and his
love
wife.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
nah, yeah, no, he and his wife just had a new child. Congrats to
yeah,
them.
he told me about that. I was so happy for
Yeah, me too.
him.
But like, like like at this stage in your career, like you have like you've met you've met and are friendly with Danny Brown and all the Bruisers, and you've put out music with Deadverse, and like you're about to open for Rap Ferreira, you're about to open for Rory in January. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you. That's so cool.
I just saw him in Jersey earlier this year.
Oh, that's so fire.
Linked with him and Pink Navel and Sharif, our mutual homie, Fatboy Sharif, also an alum of the show. Shout out to
Shouts out
Sharif.
Fatboy Sharif. He's on this album too. I love him. He
Yeah.
helped me. He helped me so much with like just really like conceptualizing this whole thing and like making it happen. You
Yeah,
know, that's that's
yeah,
that's
not
that's one of the homies for sure.
yeah, no, Sharif's incredible. But like, you're surrounded by all these people who, like you're gonna have a moment coming soon. Like it's getting to the point where it's like it
I
might be your time
mean,
soon, like so
feels
I
like
just
scary.
yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to put that kind of pressure on you.
No, no, no,
I
you're
just
good. You're good. I mean, like it's like no, no, it's like it's really cool, but it's also like wow, I didn't think this would be happening. Like
yeah.
even like opening for like Rap for Air, like I grew up listening to his music, you
Hmm.
know, like that was among the things that my brother had shown me in high school, was So the Flies Don't Come,
What a
so
great
like
project. Damn.
so amazing, so amazing. So it's like very surreal. Um, but I'm sorry, I think I cut you off somewhere. What were you saying?
I was just gonna ask, like, like since you're at this point, um, trying to think of how I want to ask this. Like are you excited for people to find you at this point in your career? Because
I
you
mean,
just said that sorry to cut you. You just said that this is like kind of scary for you, but you're also making like stuff that I think people are really gonna grab onto. So like so like at this point in your career, do you think you're ready? Do you think you're ready for that? Do you think you're ready for that next, whatever that next level might be? Like, because who knows what the future holds, but like that's kind of where it looks like it's heading. So
I think I am, like whatever the universe throws at me, I will try and take it on. And at the same time, like I am a very antisocial person. Like I am very scared of people. So like even like the amount of attention that I get now can be like I was just like playing in San Jose like a few weeks ago and like I overheard someone in the crowd like, yeah, I heard Mars Kumari is gonna be in town, so I had to come through. And I'm just like, like what? This like me? Like it's just crazy. It's just crazy to think about. But it's also, I mean, mainly I just like the idea of like working with, like creating with the people I've looked up to, like separate from like their audiences, like I'm not really thinking about like how massive Danny's audience is or Dialect's audience is, like it's not about that,
right,
just like both of their music has just gotten me through a lot and just has meant so much to me throughout my life, so it's just true. It's more than anything, it's just an honor to be in those spaces.
right, yeah, I feel you. I feel the same way doing what I do. Like I'm amazed that people even care.
All right,
Like
what you do is awesome.
thank you. I know, I appreciate that. I just like I had somebody come up to me at a show not too long ago. Um and he was just like, "Yo, like I listen to your podcast every week." And I was like, "What do you mean?" Like,
That's so
it's
fire.
yeah, I just like I don't say that to make any of this about me, but I just like
Oh, you're more than welcome.
I just really appreciate when talented people are able to when I just appreciate it when people get the respect they deserve. Like whether it's me or people that I really fuck with who like deserve the shit. Like, like you deserve that. As weird and scary as that is, like, like it happened for a reason. And it's just
Thank
cool to
you.
see,
Yeah, it's really cool. It's my reason for waking up. a lot of
Yeah,
days. It's like this, just working on this album.
right. And like it's coming. People are gonna have it soon. I thought I
Yeah, it's
lost
like
you.
I've been hyping it up for like a year. I've been just telling about, the album is like this mythical thing, which is just kind of fun to do,
Yeah,
like
definitely.
like it kind of reminds, like Death Grips does that a lot, like when they
Mhm.
were doing the Year of the Snitch release cycle, like they would post those random like photos from Sunset Studios, like working on the album with Lucas Abela or working on the album with Shrek, or
Yeah.
whatever the director's name was. And like I don't know, it's just fun. I like a layer of criticism, but like it is
Yeah.
also like almost done, and I think will be quite worth the wait,
Hell
or at
yeah.
least like it's been worth the wait for me, like it's definitely at this juncture like better than anything I thought I could make, and better than anything I've put out by a massive margin.
Yeah, and like like it's gonna come, and I'm excited to hear the finished product, and I'm excited to see what other people think of the finished product. So yeah, just congrats on even getting that
Thank
far,
you. Thank you so much. I don't really know like when it would be out. But I do know that I'm trying to send the all the finished tracks to Danny by the end of this year.
Hell yeah.
So hopefully, early 2023,
Yeah, good shit.
that'll be
And
the year. That will be the year of the Mars.
let's go. Damn. So, so to wrap this all up, Mars Kumari, if your life was a movie, what would it be about?
uh, I really don't know. I don't imagine I would be the main character though. I'd probably just
Why
be
not?
like, because those movies like you ever I'm forgetting the name of let me look. There's this one like really Kurosawa. I think it was Kurosawa. There's like he has those films where it's just like you're hearing about the whole thing like through the voice of like two random people who just kind of witness the whole thing
Oh,
happen.
like Rashomon. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Rashomon. That's the one I was looking for. Yeah, Rashomon.
Yeah.
I think I would just be like one of those people who's like, yeah, this is what happened, but like doesn't have shit to do with me.
Stop. Stop, man. Everyone's the main character of their own story, you
Thank
know?
you. I mean, I like the idea of being one of those characters too, though. Just like one of the
Yeah,
little gossip conduits.
that's fun. I like that too. I like that. Yeah, because like even if you are the main character of your own story, that's a lot of pressure. Being a protagonist is a lot of pressure. So,
No, literally, it's just like I'm just some girl. I just like
well,
bunnies. It's the extent
yo,
of that's the extent of the depth of my moral compass.
love it. Damn. God damn. Um, Mars, thank you so much. Thank you for taking 2 hours out of your day
Of
to like
course. Oh my, thank
talk to
you
me
for
about all
taking
of
two
this.
2 hours out of your day to even have me. This is so cool. This is like definitely like one of my favorite, you know, really like one of my just like my favorite conversations about the stuff I've been doing, honestly. Like,
Oh,
yeah, because I don't know, I felt listened to, felt
no.
appreciated.
That no, yeah, that's the important part. We're here to listen, like and like that's the thing. I'm glad you used the word conversation. This is less an interview and more a conversation.
Yeah, I
And
mean, like it
that's
just
yeah,
it's felt more like just like us as friends hanging out, and I mean, it
yeah,
helps that we've been friends for like several months now.
right, totally. And yeah, like yeah, like I appreciate your friendship and
I
just
appreciate
like
your
your work,
friendship
and
too. Thank you.
you trusting me with your work, and I'm just excited for the rest of the world to hear what you got coming. So, you
Thank
know,
you. Thank you so much.
yeah, absolutely. Wait, shit. Thanks for listening. Shout out to y'all for making it this far. And shout out to all the black people listening too, because y'all really impeccable. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tell a friend to come through next time. 1.